CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
A 6-month-old baby girl is recovering after being attacked by a dog on Christmas Day at a North Saanich home. Capital Regional District Animal Control says the infant was attacked by a large boxer. The 6-month-old suffered serious facial injuries and was rushed to emergency at Victoria General Hospital.
And in the face, mainly in the cheek and neck area. Fortunately, it didn't hit any vital organs or eye, for example, but very serious injuries. The child was treated in hospital, has been released, but I would assume there'll be future, checking up at because of the young age as to how much damage was actually done. Everyone was very distraught. It was very traumatic for everybody involved, including the emergency response people that had to attend. Nobody likes to see anybody hurt, especially on Christmas Day, but certainly a young child like that.
The CRD says the dog was owned by the child's uncle, who immediately surrendered the dog to animal control officers. The boxer, which had no previous history of attacks, has been euthanized. The infant's family stayed in Janice Place during her recovery. And CTV News has learned that Janice Edroff will be heading to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota next month. Her surgery has been confirmed for February 22nd. Janice suffers from neurofibromatosis, and her biggest concerns at the moment is the surgery on her back and a tumor that is growing in her leg. Doctors at the Mayo Clinic say the tumor is taking away muscle and disrupting nerve function. The Ministry of Health agreed to pay for Janice's trip to Rochester in full. There are risks, however. The surgery Janice requires on her back could leave her paralyzed. Edroff says she expects to be in recovery at the Mayo Clinic for several weeks before returning home to Victoria. New this year, BC Assessment released a list of the most expensive homes in the province. This piece of Oak Bay waterfront on Humber Road is the priciest in Greater Victoria. It is valued at just over $12 million. It's a relative bargain when compared to some of the most expensive homes around Metro Vancouver. The priciest neighborhood is Vancouver's Point Grey area. The most expensive home in the entire province is here at 4707 Belmont. The assessed value, more than $39 million. A 22-year-old Vancouver Island man remains in intensive care after falling off a 40-meter cliff in the Comox Valley. The man was found on a beach in Kai Bay in Comox Tuesday morning by a couple out for a walk. Police confirm the man was at a New Year's Eve party in the area the night before, but it's not yet known how he ended up falling off the bluff.
We are still following up with interviewing people that had seen him or spoken with this man leading up to the events, and he was found yesterday at 10:30 in the morning, or roughly thereabouts. So we're speaking with anyone that may have had contact with him the night previously at a New Year's Eve party.
The man remains at Victoria General Hospital with his family. Police do not suspect foul play. They are still investigating. If you have information on the party or events leading up to it, contact your local RCMP. Mounties in Nanaimo saved the life of a 40-year-old woman early New Year's Day after she ran into the freezing waters of the Millstone River. Mounties responded to a call around 7:30 a.m. from a nearby homeowner who saw the woman run through his yard, over a fence and onto traffic-filled Bowen Road. Officers searched for the woman and found her waist deep in the middle of the nearby river. Police say she was distraught and she ignored their attempts to save her. They believe the woman was suicidal and say she told officers to leave her alone. Officers couldn't reach her from shore, so they plunged into the water and pulled her to safety.
Our members were, as they said, in the police world, you never know what to expect, especially starting off your shift on the new year. But in this particular case, they responded like they always do, and they went well above and beyond. And fortunately, they worked together. They got her out of the water and got her the help that she needed.
RCMP say the woman was in the water for up to 20 minutes at a temperature of only 1 degree Celsius, and she was showing signs of hypothermia. The woman was taken to Nanaimo Regional General Hospital, and she was later admitted for observation under the Mental Health Act. Western Canada's sporting goods landscape is about to change with the closure of Sport Mart locations. Parent company Sport Chek is making room for its bigger brand. Sport Mart in Langford blowing out inventory with items discounted as much as 70% right now. Owner FGL Sports Incorporated, based out of Calgary, would not comment on camera today, but did release this statement. In order to focus and invest in the fastest growing and most profitable banners, standalone corporate locations for Sport Mart, Athletes World, Nevada Bob's Golf, Golf and other companies under the FGL banner will either be converted into Sport Chek or Atmosphere stores or will be closed by the end of the first quarter in 2013. That means all 3 Sport Mart locations in Greater Victoria are closing their doors and customers are rushing to cash in.
A nice new jacket. It was, I think, another 40% off, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of already
50% off, I think, yeah.
I just paid half of what I was expecting to pay for these.
In total, FGL Sports intends to add more than 100 new Sport Chek and Atmosphere stores equal to 2 million square feet of new retail space over the next 5 years. That will essentially grow the company by 50%. 2013 got off to a good start for BC Transit riders, but with the threat of job action by its drivers and mechanics union, BC Transit says it is worried about the weeks ahead. There was full service on both New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which was the first time there has been no route cancellations since job action began October 22nd. But CAW Local 333, which represents transit drivers and mechanics, says it will step up its job action in 2013. That could mean a full-blown strike may be on the horizon. BC Transit says it's ready to get back to the table and hopes a deal can be reached soon.
We are so eager and hopeful that CAW Local 333 will come back to the table. We've had impasse declared on management side, on the union side before. We've got back to the table before. We hope there's a willingness in 2013 to get back to the table, to be fair and reasonable, and to get this deal signed.
CAW Local 333 says it will give riders 24 hours notice before any strike action. BC Transit suggests you monitor its website for updates. For route cancellations and schedules, visit bctransit.com. Nanaimo RCMP were out in full force New Year's Eve and set up several roadblocks around the city. Police say they busted 3 drivers for drinking, but overall it was a good year. More people seem to be getting the message on New Year's, but RCMP say that people need to be just as safe all year round.
Well, we think that the message did get through that night. New Year's Eve is a typical night like this, though. Most people are very nervous about drinking and driving on New Year's Eve, so they do take those precautions. We would like people to take the same precautions every night when they go out and drinking and driving.
Officers were out from 5 p.m. until about 3 in the morning. This was the 35th year of the counterattack program. The penny is on its way out this year, and now a retired Bank of Canada economist thinks the nickel should be the next to go. The Mint will start collecting pennies on February 4th for melting and recycling, with some 6 billion coins expected to be surrendered over the next 6 years. As for the nickel, the Finance Department says it has no plans to eliminate the 5-cent coin. People in the New York City area are calling a decision by House Republicans not to hold a vote on an aid package for Hurricane Sandy victims a slap in the face. U.S. President Obama says hundreds of people in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut need immediate support, with most of the winter still ahead. The $60 billion package would help homeowners and small business owners, police and fire departments that need to pay overtime, and federal flood insurance. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has left a New York City hospital where she spent 3 days being treated for a blood clot in her head. Doctors say they expect Clinton will make a full recovery. They say the blood clot was related to a concussion she suffered at home last month when she fainted and hit her head. A Shell oil drilling rig is grounded off the coast of Alaska after being caught in a storm on New Year's Eve. The rig is now close to the shore of an uninhabited island near Kodiak, Alaska. It was cut from the tugboat towing it because of safety concerns. The vessel was evacuated. 3 crew members suffered minor injuries. The biggest concern is the rig holds more than 500,000 liters of oil. So far, there has been no sign of leaking. And dramatic video off the coast of Rio de Janeiro. A rescue helicopter crashes into the sea at Copacabana Beach. It happened on Saturday as crews attempted to rescue a drowning swimmer. Amateur video, as you can see, shows the helicopter plummeting into the ocean and sinking into the choppy waters quickly. All 4 crew members, though, managed to escape with only minor injuries, and they still managed to save the drowning swimmer. The crash was caused by an engine failure. A car dealership in Nanaimo is chipping in to help prevent animal cruelty and is donating proceeds from each sale to the SPCA. Steve Marshall Ford Lincoln says it will donate $250 from each car sold during the month of January to Nanaimo's SPCA. It hopes to raise more than $10,000 toward animal cruelty prevention. Fundraising usually drops off after the holidays as people are trying to take it easy on their wallets post-Christmas. The SPCA says this campaign comes at a great time.
in the early months of any year, January, February, March, fundraising is very difficult, and people have kind of spent a lot of money on Christmas, and they're trying to save and things like that, and there's not a lot of donations that come in. So to be able to have something like this happen in January, right at the beginning of the year, with the potential to make up to $10,000, maybe more, is incredibly exciting, and it helps us kick off a great year for the SPCA locally. This is the first year the dealership has partnered with the SPCA. It says its employees and the community have been touched by the organization, and it wanted to give back. The SPCA in Nanaimo rescues 1,400 animals each year and investigates more than 200 animal cruelty cases. Saanich police say a third victim has surfaced after multiple stabbings at and around a home on Boleskin Road on New Year's Day. Police say the victim is a man in his mid-20s who took himself to hospital after being slashed in the face. Another victim, a 23-year-old man who was stabbed in the abdomen, is recovering from surgery and remains in intensive care. A 25-year-old man also suffered a laceration to the head in the attack. If you have any information on the stabbings, contact Saanich Police. Police in Oregon have identified 2 more victims of the fatal bus crash in Oregon that left 9 dead. Among them is an 11-year-old girl from South Korea who was staying with a family in BC. Yoo-Min Kim and another victim, 75-year-old Young-Ho Lee from Linwood, Washington, were the 2 identified. Some of the survivors of the Oregon bus crash are making their way home to Vancouver with the help of a car dealer. An Oregon Ford dealership has offered up 4 SUVs and drivers to transport survivors who don't feel comfortable getting on another bus. The crash happened Sunday as the bus was returning to Vancouver from Las Vegas. Investigators say the bus struck the concrete barrier on the shoulder of the interstate highway, veered across 2 lanes, through a guardrail, and 60 meters down an embankment. Oregon police say they've identified another victim but are waiting to notify the next of kin before they release the name. The tour bus is owned by a Vancouver area company called Miju Tour and Travel. The back and forth between the National Hockey League and the Players Association continues tonight in New York, and the season hangs in the balance. It's day 109 of the NHL lockout, and it looks like the owners and NHLPA could be moving closer to an agreement. After a brief face-to-face meeting today, the players handed the league a comprehensive response to its latest offer. As for the details of the negotiations, both Commissioner Gary Bettman and Union head Donald Fehr are being tight-lipped.
We had a brief meeting, made some responses to the information we received yesterday. The NHL people are looking at it, and we'll hear from them when that process is completed. Meantime, we're going back to hotel where we're working, and we'll continue to do that.
There's a process that's ongoing, and so I'm thankful for that.
Looming over any talks between both sides today is a midnight deadline for the players to file what's called a disclaimer of interest with the courts, which would introduce the possibility for antitrust lawsuits that could potentially halt negotiations.